Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be teaching you how to write your research methodology. And before we begin, I hope that you have your pen and paper with you so that you can jot down the things that I'll be discussing in this video. So, I know you're ready, so let's get right into it. Now, before we begin, let's have a quick recap. When I say research methodology, it has subparts. We have research methodology, research design, population and locale of the study, data collection instrument, data collection procedure, as well as treatment of data. And in this particular discussion, I have also included scope and the limitation of a study and also the things that you have to consider as in writing your research paper, which is the ethical considerations. So first things first. To begin the chapter 2 of your research, which is the research methodology chapter, here you are going to write a short paragraph containing a brief detail of how you are going to conduct the research, which answers the question how. Here you are going to provide a short description as to how you are going to conduct the study. Next, you are going to answer the question who. Who would be the participants? Who are the respondents of your research? Who will answer the surveys? Who will answer the interviews that you plan to do? Next one, you are going to describe where. Where is the study? Where is the location? Or where are you going to conduct the research? And also why. You have to provide the reason as to why you chose these particular respondents and that specific location. Here you're going to also provide the scope or the limitation, okay, the boundaries that you are going to include or cover in your research. And last but not least, here you're going to write the ethical considerations, the moral things that you have to do in writing the research paper. The next subpart of research methodology is choosing the research design. Here you're going to present and discuss the specific research design that you are going to use. And let's have a quick recap. When say research design, either which or what kind of research design will you use? Are you going to use quantitative research design or qualitative research design? But most of the time, it depends on the lesson, it depends on the subject, and it depends on the suggestion of the teacher. Most of the time, they will tell you you are supposed to use quantitative, or they are going to suggest or tell you that you're going to use qualitative design. Now, as you can see in the next slide, if you're going to choose quantitative research design, there are three. We have descriptive comparative, which here if you want to know the difference of variables, it is better to use descriptive comparative since you are going to compare the variables in your research. Next one, we also have descriptive correlational. Here, if you want really to know the relationship of variables, what is the connection of these variables? Let's say you want to study the impact of scatter games or online gambling to the behaviors, to the financial literacy, and to the academic performances of students who play online games or scatter games or online gambling. Is there a correlation? Okay. Next one, you can also use descriptive predictive if you want to know the values or the ranks. For example, which of the online sources or online social media platforms do senior high school or college students use? What do they usually do when they have free time? Do they do leisure time such as playing, watching, or online gaming? So here you're going to rank. All right. Now for qualitative data, more of you are going to have an in-depth understanding of your participants or based from the experiences of your research participants. So here, the difference of qualitative and quantitative here is that for qualitative, most of the time, you're going to use interviews. And personally, you are going to craft the interviews based from the SOPs, based from the problem that you want to solve, or based from the statement of the problems that you have designed. Here you can do a narrative study. You can also do phenomenology, you can also do case study, grounded theory, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here, the main difference of the two that you have to consider is for qualitative, more on an in-depth understanding of a phenomenon, of a study of a case or participants. While for quantitative, from the word quantity, more on the numbers. You're going to study the numbers. Okay? And here, most of the time, what they use is surveys. All right? Next, we have the population and locale of the study. Here, you're going to briefly describe and discuss your participants or respondents' information and the process of selecting them, and also the location of the study and the reasons for choosing the location. So here, you are going to briefly describe who will be your participants, what would be their age, what would be their gender, what would be their grade if you are going to conduct a study to students. And also, you have to include here the process of choosing, or if you have criterias that you considered to choose this specific types of participants or respondents. And also, you have to describe, try to provide a map as to the location of the study and also the reasons behind the location. Why did you choose this place for your research? All right. Next up, we have the data collection instrument. Here, you're going to describe the tools that you will use in your research. If you're going to use quantitative research design, most of the time, you're going to use a survey questionnaire, meaning you have to have set of questions. These questions, maybe you can craft these questions based from the SOPs that you have to have a clear and direct answers to these statement of the problems. Or you can adapt, you can also copy the questions of other researchers so long as you credit them or so long as these questions will provide you similar responses and correct or direct responses that you want your participants to answer, okay, or to provide. Next one, if you're going to use a qualitative research design, you will use or you're expected to use an interview guide. Here you can adapt also interview questions or you can craft your own interview questions. But in writing this one in your research paper, you have to inform your reader what part or what are the parts of the questionnaires. For example, the first part include basic information such as the gender, the age, the occupation, the ethnicity of the participants or the respondents, and so the second part or the preceding parts will include the questions that are now related to your study, similar to the interview guide that you are going to write. Okay, so you have to describe what is the first part, what is the content of the first part, and the second or the preceding parts of your interview guide. And also here you are going to describe the validity and the reliability of your data gathering instrument, especially if you're going to use a survey question. If you want to learn more about this, the validity and reliability of data gathering instrument, you can check my other video because I have a video discussing this. All right? Another part of research methodology is the data collection procedure. Here, you are going to narrate the process of your data collection. Here, you are going to step by step describe, narrate, how are you going to conduct the study. For example, the researchers crafted the interview questions, and then the interview questions was submitted to the subject teacher, and the teacher correct or check validated the questions, and so after which we went to the dean, we went to the principal for them to check if the valid or if the question is aligned to our SOP, or you can go ask help to the teachers or some of the panels that your advisor has chose you or that you believe is credible enough to check the interview or something like that. You have to narrate, and also you are going to describe the data sampling method or technique that you use. For example, the researchers will conduct the study or will choose the participants through random sampling, a snowball sampling, and so on and so forth. Alright, so here you are going to describe, detail, narrate the procedure, the process, the step that you are going to do to conduct or to gather the data that you needed in your study. Next, we have the treatment of data. Here, based from my experiences and based from my readings, most of the schools only provide this one to the last part or as the last part of the research methodology. And for some other schools, there are other parts included in the research methodology. But for the sake of this discussion, when you say treatment of data, here you're going to describe how you are going to make sense? How are you going to interpret? How are you going to discuss the data that you have collected? Okay, so here you can either use tables, you can also use thematic analysis based from the type of the research that you are going to use or do. Another part of methodology is the scope and delimitation. Here, you're going to discuss the boundary or the extent of your study, and this part actually clarifies the specifics of your research. Here, you should provide a short or brief paragraph describing the extent or the scope or the coverage of your study. Let's say the coverage of the study only includes grade 12 students because you believe they are they are easier to access, or it is based from your finances. Ito lang yung kaya ng finance nyo. Ganun. Okay? And since research writing most of the time only includes 4 months, 3 months, 5 months, of course, that is a short span of time. And so, due to limited time, so there, you are providing specifics, or you are providing them clarification as to what is the limitation, as to the range of your study. Okay? And now we're down to the last part. Here we have ethical considerations from the word ethics, which is choosing what is morally good. Okay, and with that, here you are going to discuss how you intend to protect the rights, the safety, and security of your participants. Here you have to inform your readers about how you sought the participation of your participants. Here you can include informed consent. For, let's say, before conducting the study, you are going to consider asking the permission or the consent of your participants if they are willing to join, respond, answer to your research. Next, confidentiality and anonymity. Let's say that you have to provide a short description as to how you are going to protect the confidentiality and anonymity of your respondents. Let's say you will not divulge the information of the participants in your study, that it is only for educational purposes, and so on. Next one is social responsibility, meaning whatever the results, whatever the data that you have collected in your research questions or in your interviews, it should be remain between the participant, between the respondents, and the researchers. Since knowing that any information that will be in public, of course, will be danger to the privacy, to the security, and to the confidentiality of the respondents, especially if your research is somewhat confidential. All right, and so make sure that the rights, the privileges, and the security of the the research participants, the research respondents are in your utmost priority. All right? There you have it. I hope that this video has provided you ample knowledge, enough knowledge to craft, to finish your research methodology. And if you have questions, just comment down below and I hope to answer those questions. Thank you for watching. Bye.